And we're very excited that we're reintroducing a feature which was a bit of a staple of our show for some time, the Love Doctor, your opportunity to write in with questions about what issues of love and relationships. Of course, formerly, Ian Grant was our Love Doctor, and some big shoes to fill. However, the team at Family Life have stepped up and says, hey, we love a good challenge. Joining us now, Executive Director of Family Life New Zealand, Vena Jacobs. Kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, kia ora, Andrew. Lovely to be here.
Now, these are big shoes to fill, but I think you guys are up for it because, love and relationships, that's what you guys do, of course, helping people have better marriages and relationships for quite a number of years now.
Indeed, big shoes to fill, but privileged to carry on in the legacy. And as you know, Family Life exists because we believe when people develop effective relationship skills, their relationships flourish.
Now, post-lockdown for you guys, I know certainly some challenges for all of us, but for running an organisation, which one of the key things that you do is meeting together to pass on wisdom and advice. Post-lockdown, any plans for what's happening, or is that still unfolding? What's happening with you guys at the moment?
Yeah, no, brilliant. It was actually, so Family Life currently exists in about 92 countries in the world. Yep. And not last weekend, the weekend prior, we had the first ever weekend to remember in the world post-lockdown. So go New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so that was, there were 52 couples present in Taupo. And just a great weekend, sharing some input and stories, and helping people build effective relationships.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic, and a great place to have that weekend. And I suppose we're all being encouraged to see the country, to support the tourism economy. This would be a wonderful way to not only invest in the economy, but to invest in your marriage as well.
Exactly.
So the first in the world for New Zealand, another world first for New Zealand, I should say. Are there more to come? Are there more planned for later in the year?
Yes, so we've got 2 more weekends coming up. One would be in September at the Waipuna in Auckland. And then we've got Christchurch coming up in October. Yeah. And then there's a few other one-day events coming up as well, which you can get more detail on our website.
No, very good indeed. And hey, I've certainly been blessed and encouraged by a weekend to remember. Would encourage people to do so as well. So September in Auckland, October in Christchurch. Details at familylife.nz. Well done, you guys, for another first for New Zealand. Not only did we come out of lockdown successfully, but kicking off with a weekend to remember. That's great stuff. Hey, we've got a question for you, and now this is how this is going to work, so you know what you've signed up for. People will be sending us questions about love and relationships. Now, sometimes we need to make these people anonymous. They know who they are, but we don't want to embarrass them because sometimes people can be a bit shy, and sometimes questions about love and relationship can be a bit awkward. You don't know who to ask. You don't really want people to know your personal details.
Yes, true.
Yeah, so but we're encouraging people to text through with questions that they have, and we're kicking off with the first question today. It says, I'm a lady in my 60s. Now, Vaynard, I want you to know I'm not a lady in my 60s. I'm reading the question, okay? Just in case you're confused by the first bit.
This one wasn't from you, Andrew?
No, this isn't. I'm
asking on behalf of a friend,
on behalf of a lady in her 60s, exactly. She says, my children are all grown up, and I'm finding being home on my own very lonely. I would dearly love to be in a relationship, someone to do life with, but I'm not sure how to go about this. So I guess the question is, how do Christian people meet other people of faith? In the meantime, as well as giving it to God, how do I do life when I feel so lonely? I would love to have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think there's a lot of people that deal with a similar situation, and the issue here really is singleness and meeting new people, and in her case, meeting Christians.
Yeah.
We see this all the time in family life, and it's becoming a thing where people are, often actually taking longer to get married. So we're seeing people single in their 30s, 40s, wanting to be in a relationship and wanting to be married, but not actually getting there because of this thing. How do I find the right person? And there's all this pressure of finding the right person. But I always like to say, how do we simplify things? And to me, simplifying this relationship thing is, get out there and get to know people. And a way we encourage our couples to strengthen their relationships is by being good listeners, being curious when they connect. So when their spouse is talking to them, giving them focused attention and actually listening and asking clarifying questions. So practically, I'll deal with how do you meet people, but let's say you met someone and you're starting to develop a relationship. A relationship will develop when you've got someone asking good, open-ended questions, interested in getting to know someone else.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest gift you can give anyone, because, marriage, one of the purposes of marriage is really to know and to be known. So maybe I'll that's the first bit of, if I can say advice or suggestion that I could give is, train yourself in having good conversation, and having good conversation is not talking. It's more about listening and asking good questions.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the second thing I would add there, and this is something we've seen, in our circles, in with my friends, and I know I met my wife actually through an introduction by a friend, and I know many other stories who met their life partner through a friend. So I think there's this stigma around matchmaking, and people, would rather die than being match-made.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what better way to find someone with common interests without the pressure than having mutual friends introduce you?
Mm.
So, maybe a scary thing in your 60s, having to go out and venture out and find new things, but get involved at church, volunteer at maybe a soup kitchen and get to know people and, put it out there. Tell people, tell your friends, your close friends, maybe, hey, look, I am interested in exploring this. And so, if you know someone, then, happy to get to know them better and see if, I can find another life partner, actually.
Van, I'm also interested in your thoughts on online dating apps or online dating sites, because I know some are better than others, and I think there's some specific Christian ones, and even on Tinder you can be very specific and say godly men, no weirdos, and narrow the field if you like.
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on perhaps casting the net a bit wider and looking for a Christian man online? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, funny you'd ask, because we think online dating is a new thing. And there's actually a lady that works in our organization, Joy. She's been with Family Life for 15 years, and she wouldn't mind me sharing this, because she openly talks about how she met her husband. And this was actually through one of the first versions of, I guess, a dating site.
Wow.
They had someone on the North Shore say, well, we've got a group of people, so you send your letters in, send your profile in, and they did this by mail, physical snail mail.
Yeah.
And so I think she received three candidates in the mail, and she went out with each one of them, and one of them was her now happily married for...
Oh, fantastic.
Gosh, I don't want to quote this, but probably... Well, I'm not going to name a year, but they've been happily married for years now.
For some time, yes.
Over 30 years, actually. So
the prototype version of The Bachelor, almost, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. So I'm definitely not opposed to the idea, because you want that initial introduction.
Yeah.
What I would put out there, maybe as a caveat, is when you are, scrolling our instant gratification social media world, we'll just keep scrolling. The thumb gets a lot of exercise these days, and if I don't like what I see, I discard and go on.
Yeah.
The problem is, if I take that mentality into relationship, it'll be so tough to actually find someone, because marriage is not about finding the right person. It's about choosing someone that has similar values to you, and then choosing to focus on them. And I say love is focus. So it's developing the skill where I choose to express love to this person, and we build a relationship. And they are flawed. People are flawed. You won't find the perfect person. But if I have this consumer mentality by going on an online dating site, I might run into some challenges.
No, very good wisdom and advice in that regard. And, well, I don't suppose Family Life are going to do a singles speed dating night anytime soon.
I wouldn't count it out entirely.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking on the mantle of the Love Doctor, and encouraging people to send through questions. Text through anytime 8168, keyword Rhema, but more wisdom and advice, and of course opportunities to enhance your love and relationships at familylife.nz. Vaynard, thanks for chatting with us today.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me, Andrew.